Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामय सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखात् भाग् भवेत्. We pray for the happiness of one and all. May everyone be comfortable and peaceful at all levels of their personality. May we see that which is sacred and holy. May there be no suffering anywhere. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Does anybody have any question? See, in the 7th chapter of the Gita, in the 14th verse, the word 14th verse is, so as you all, as you know, Swamiji had, when he was studying the Bhagavad Gita, one of the original things that he did, so 7th chapter is the yoga of knowledge and wisdom. Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So as part of his research and study, what Swamiji had done was, Swamiji A. Parthasarthi, he divided the topics into, he divided each chapter into topics. The 18 chapters of the Gita are part of the original Gita. The Gita was given out as 18 chapters, but the topics was something that Swamiji originally divided. And the topic helps us to understand the thought flow. The 14th verse is part of the fourth topic, the four virtuous types of people who worship God. So one worships God for material wealth, another is worshipping God just for peace of mind, third comes because of some intellectual curiosity. The fourth type is a true seeker who wants to know God. He is approaching spiritual life to find the ultimate truth about life. He is a true seeker. So our journey may start seeking God for wealth or peace or solving our problems or some curiosity, but slowly we have to rise ourselves to become a true seeker. And the 25th verse is part of the fifth topic, which is the deluded seek and gain infinite fruit. Deluded, in broadly, are those who are seeking the world, who are chasing the world for happiness. They are in delusion. We should allow the world to come on its own. We should seek the supreme. We should seek the self. If we seek the world, what we gain is finite. If we seek the self, ultimately we will regain back our infinite bliss. Now I'm going to the 14th verse. The concept of Maya is is considered to be the most highest and subtlest concept in Vedanta, in spirituality. I really don't know how many people talk about it. It is not talked about it because you need to have certain amount of maturity, not certain amount of maturity. You need to have a lot of maturity. You need to have a lot of sattva to understand this concept of Maya. The scriptures themselves don't talk about Maya many places. One of the rare place is this 14th verse where he talks about Daivya Maya. Daivya means divine. Divine. And Maya is illusion. This, he says, verily, this divine illusion of mine, made out of gunas, is difficult to cross over. Those who seek me, as I explained, seek me is the self, not the body, mind, intellect. Those who seek me alone cross over this illusion. So we'll cover what the illusion is. In fact, the next few classes we'll talk about illusion. Those who seek me alone cross over this illusion. So here we can take that idea of seeking. Now, 15th verse, we have covered all this, but I'm just going through it. evildoers, just to remember what is between 14th and 25th verse, because in 25th verse he again mentions Yoga Maya. So 15th verse says, evildoers, deluded, lowest of men, do not seek me. They are chasing the world. They whose wisdom is destroyed by this illusion follow the way of the demons. Demonic people are doing a lot of harm to others. They are very, very disturbed, and they are only chasing material enjoyments, material acquisitions, and sensual enjoyments. Deluded. 16th verse says the four types of people which I just now covered. Then he highlights who's a true seeker. A jnani is a true seeker. He has a single pointed devotion to pursue the supreme, and he has steadfastness. Nitya Eka Bhakti Nitya Yuktaha. Nitya Yukta is a consistently seeking the higher. The mind is also devoted. Eka Bhakti means single pointed devotion. He is not distracted. Again, he repeats, of all the people, those who seek the self for the sake of the self, they are the noblest. That's what Sri Krishna is saying. And that's fine. 19th verse again highlights the importance of this portion of the Gita. He says, after many, many lifetimes, at the end of many births, a man of wisdom reaches me, realizing all this is Vasudeva. Vasudeva, the supreme reality, pervades everywhere. I'll cover this. Just as when we fall into the state of dream, we are sleeping, but the mind experiences a dream world. The mind becomes the dream world. We can say every bit and piece, every part of the dream world, everywhere in the dream, it is nothing but the mind and mind alone. So all is reality. Just as the mind pervades every facet of the dream world, similarly Vasudeva, or the supreme reality of Brahman, pervades every part of this universe. One who knows this is very, very difficult to find. Now, as I said, many, many lifetimes can be taken as something very, very pessimistic. Now, I'm seeing new names. I'm just cautioning those who are new to the subject, take this as a Harry Potter story, because this is something you study toward a little bit in the end, once you gain a certain amount of maturity. So I'll keep repeating in the sense, I'm going to spend few classes on illusions to explain it properly, more for my study only, but just to keep this at the back of your mind, not in the front of your mind, the back of your mind, that there is something called Maya. Now, you don't even have to say that there is something called Maya. Just suspect it. That's my job. My job is to create a doubt, a suspicion that what is this concept of Maya. But to understand it, you need a lot of maturity. You need a lot of sattva guna. So I'll cover all of that. Now, anybody remembers what does this many, many lifetimes mean? What is the normal reaction when you say many, many lifetimes? If
So
I
you
say,
once said that this could be the last lifetime.
correct. So the normal reaction would be, Array, I will study for many, many lifetimes and then I'll pass the exam. What nonsense. I'm not going to study. I'm not going to write this exam. What kind of examination is this? I have to keep on studying. I'll not get the result this lifetime, many, many lifetimes. How many? And it is not said how many. Bahunam Janmanam. So the pessimistic person thinks that his many, many lifetimes is starting with sorry, the pessimistic person thinks that his many, many lifetimes is starting with this lifetime. The optimistic person thinks that perhaps many, many lifetimes have already gone by. Now that I am inspired to pursue the self, now that I am inspired to seek the self, and I am listening to the scripture, perhaps I am very close to the end of my many. I am very close to the end of many lifetimes. Perhaps this is my last lifetime. So we don't know where we are, doesn't matter. Just continue the study. But this highlights the important. What is the important? It's not easy. Very difficult is to find. I think we covered this. Very difficult is to find. That way, if you want any of the recordings, maybe you can just send an email. I'll try and see how I can send it to you. At the end of such a soul is very difficult to find. Sudurlavaha, very, very difficult to find a person who knows the absolute truth. 20th verse, he said, those who are deprived of wisdom, foolish people, approach gods. Gods represent the different worldly pursuits. So, as I have mentioned in that class, the Hindu philosophy, the Vedantic philosophy does not believe in, it is not, it is, it is not polyist. What does polyistic mean? Believing in many gods, is it? Polyistic means believing in many gods?
Polytheistic.
Yeah. Does it mean believing in many gods? Yeah. So the Hindu philosophy, Vedanta philosophy is not polytheistic. Hindu philosophy, Vedanta believes in one God, one supreme God, the supreme reality known as Brahman or Atman. We can maybe correctly say that the Hindu philosophy or the Vedanta philosophy is polymorphic. Polymorphic means one God in many forms. There is one reality. Now, the point was, if you have to reach or become that supreme reality, that supreme self, you have to apply the principle as you think, so you become. Whatever you think, ultimately you become. This is the most sacred law of life. You think negative, you become negative. You think optimistic, you become optimistic. You think business, 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 you become a businessman. You think music, 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 you become musician. From the spiritual point of view, if you're all the time worried about your body, you become physical. You live at a very gross level of your personality. Quality of enjoyment is very poor. Affectations is very high. You identify with your mind and your emotions, you become emotional. Quality of happiness is slightly better than physical, but affectation is less. Then you rise up to, you go within and you identify with the intellect, you identify with your thoughts, you become intellectual. As you think, so you become. Intellectual person finds a very subtle joy. He is his joy is very stable, very fine quality of joy experiences, and his affectations is far less. Far beyond physical, emotional, intellectual is spiritual. When you start identifying with the supreme self within, when you start identifying with the Atman, the pure consciousness within, the quality of joy is the highest. Zero affectations, because affectations is only pertaining to the body, mind, intellect. One who is attuned to the self, whatever happens to the body, mind, intellect does not affect him. That's a man of enlightenment. Now, yeah, and another thing is, for these classes, uh, if you can keep your videos on, I would like to see. But if you're unwell and something is going on, it's all right. Um, so as you think, so you become. Now, understanding this law, the sages told human beings that if you want permanent peace, eternal peace, absolute peace, start thinking of God. Start thinking of yourself. Now, mind will not go to areas unknown. Intellect can. Intellect can penetrate into areas unknown and make it known. That's what we are doing. We are studying about God. The Bhagavad Gita gives us the knowledge of God. Through the knowledge, the intellect is able to somehow conceive what God is. Mind will only go to areas known. I'm just giving an example. Mango, we know, Alfonso mango. The moment you say mango, the mind goes towards mango. But suppose I talk about a fruit, Piclactu. Piclactu is the best fruit we have had in our life. In my life, I have had Piclactu. It is available only in Mumbai. It is available only in Prabhadevi. It is only available next to a temple called Siddhivinayak temple. And it looks like, now Piclactu you will not be interested in. What is Piclactu? Okay, sir, I had Piclactu, some strange food. But now when I start giving these details, it's only available in Bombay, it's only in Prabhadevi, it's only next to Siddhivinayak temple. Yotiji, please don't look for it. It's brown in color, tastes like a banana. Um, Texture is like mango. When I give all this, then once the intellect makes it known, then the mind will go towards it. So, from a spiritual point of view, the sages told the mind, think of the self to become the self. That's what will give you absolute happiness. But the mind only knows the world, it doesn't know God. So the mind started going towards the God. So, as an ingenious, incredible principle, what the sages did, the Hindu sages did, we call them subjective scientists. Objective scientists are researching about the world. The subjective scientists went deep inside themselves and they discovered the supreme self. They said, wherever the mind goes, we will plant gods and goddesses. That one supreme Brahman, but it manifests as different powers and functions. One supreme God. So the mind chased wealth. They said wealth is goddess Lakshmi. Mind chased power. Power is Ma Durga. Mind chased health and fitness. The health is power is Lord Hanuman. Mind chased success. Success is with Vinayakam, Lord Ganesha. So wherever the mind went, we planted gods and goddesses. So in our tradition, marriage is a prayer, birth is a prayer, death is a prayer, every facet of life is a prayer. Throughout the year, there is festivals so that we don't miss the idea of gods. But what Sri Krishna is telling in these verses is, if you are interested in the world, you worship different gods. So these people are worshipping gods for worldly purposes. But he says, you keep worshipping, I will make sure your pursuit will have Shraddha. Shraddha is that fantastic capacity of a human being to pursue something until you finish it. See, I will have Shraddha for this class because if I stop, the class stops. But the Shraddha would be to start the Gita and end the Gita. Now, in between, people will come and go. So, those who are coming for a few classes and give up, they don't have the Shraddha to start. They have the faith to start. With faith, you start, but you need Shraddha to complete the journey. It's a determined, concerted, dedicated, committed effort to continue whatever you have started until you have reached the end of your project. No giving up, no matter what the obstacles are. It's like a river. A river may fall, a water falls, but it doesn't stop moving until it reaches the ocean. If a mountain comes, it will go around it. Water falls, it falls gracefully, but doesn't stop moving. Similarly, Shraddha is that determined, concerted, committed, dedicated, consistent effort until you complete it. So Krishna is saying that you start thinking of God in whatever form. I will make sure I'll give you Shraddha, means you will continue what we covered it. If you want power, no amount of power will satisfy you, only infinite power will satisfy you. No amount of wealth or beauty or anything will satisfy you until it becomes infinite. Infinite means you have to seek God at some point. So he keeps saying, you worshipping, if you worship, I'll make that Shraddha. Then he says, small intelligence, alpa medasam. People who have zero knowledge, they are seeking the world, something finite. They will just remain finite. But those who seek me, the Supreme Self, not beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, lies our Supreme Self. The Self is enlivening the body, mind, intellect. The Self is giving life to the matter layers. It is making the body perceive and act. It is making our mind feel. It is making our intellect to think. So those who seek the Self reach me. 24th verse, foolish think of me, the unmanifest, as having manifestation. I covered in the last class. Rope always remains as a rope. Rope does not become a snake. It is our foolishness that we are imagining a snake where there is a rope. So foolish think of me as having manifestation. I am the supreme unmanifest, not knowing my supreme nature, my infinite nature, my eternal nature, immutable, unsurpassed. Brahman is changeless. It is the supreme of supreme. It is the highest joy. Those who have faith must sort of accept it and pursue it and see what happens. Now, if you don't pursue it, what will happen? Sorrow of the world. Now, how much are you going to suffer? As long as you're in the world, there will be joy and sorrow. World means day and night, birth and death, light and darkness. So in the world, there will be both joy and sorrow. Only when you go beyond the world into that supreme unmanifest, we will access that unlimited peace. Therefore, that is supreme. Brahman has no manifestation. And then the 25th verse, which I'm highlighting, he says, Yoga Maya. Verily, by Yoga Maya, illusion born of the union of three gunas, I am not manifest at all. This deluded world knows me not, the unborn and the imperishable. 14th verse. Verily, this divine illusion of mine, made of gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, is difficult to cross over. Right? 25th verse. So he's not blabbering, he's keeping to a perfect thought flow. He's saying, veiled by Yoga Maya, illusion, again born of the three gunas. I'll cover the rest of it. See, this is how it is. Colorless. Can you see the diagram on the screen? On the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So now don't ask me to prove all this. This is the genius of our masters who have kind of figured this. I mean, who is giving this example for us to at least conceive it. Otherwise, it's too abstract. Colorless light, Brahman, which we cannot conceive, passing through the prism of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, becomes this pluralistic world. Okay, when colorless light has no color, but when the colorless light passes through the prism, we see the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, the vibrioric color. Rainbow has the 7 colors, right? Vibrioric colors. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Colorless light passing through the prism becomes the beautiful 7 lights, 7 colors. Similarly, the Atman functioning through our Rajasic and Tamasic and Sattvic nature, Sattvic vasanas, we are projecting this world. Remove the mind, there is no projection. Just exactly like the light of projector in the case of a theater. In the movie theater, the light of projector is there, the film is there, and the movie is put on the white screen. In real life, the white screen is also Brahman. Brahman is the substratum, the reality. Whether we understand it or not, there is a substratum. Because without substratum, nothing can happen. There is a substratum. You can see my hand, I'm putting a post-it, I'm putting a paperweight, another paperweight, a pen. I'm putting all this. Now, what do you see? You say, I see I see a pen, I see a bull, a paperweight, I see another stone-like paperweight, I see a post-it. You see all this. Okay, I'm taking away the pen. What you see? I see the other 3 things. I take away another 2. I see the 2 things. I take away another one. I only see the post-it. I take away this. Do you see anything? Don't say nothing. The substratum is there. Without the substratum, the movie cannot be projected. Now, in the case of real life, the scriptures are telling us the substratum is Brahman. Everything is happening on Brahman, whatever that be. How is it happening? If your mind is not there, if the mind goes unmanifest, you experience deep sleep. In deep sleep, for you, see, knowledge is the spiritual life is always subjective. When in deep sleep, for you, the world is not there. It's all a big void, a blankness. But the moment the mind comes through the Atman, the pure consciousness functioning through the mind projects your world. Your mind is projecting your world. My mind is projecting my world. You are projecting me, I am projecting you. If I go to sleep, you are not there in my world. If you go to sleep, I am not there in your world. Okay? So, the light of consciousness passing through the gunas projects this world. Now, this concept of guna, the concept of illusions, the concept of Maya, there is a Upanishad. You don't have to go to it. I have not gone to it, but Swamiji refers to it, and uh, it talks about this. It explains the Maya. See, one explanation is there in verse 14. I'm just making a note what all I have to cover. One explanation of this word Maya is there in verse 14 commentary. It's not very, very complicated. It starts with the definition of reality. What is the definition of reality? Anybody? What is reality?
All the experiences.
Ever existing.
Not all. That is your reality now, whatever you're experiencing. Reality is that which persists. What Ullas said, ever existing or lasting. Both are same. Everlasting. Something which is there was there in the past, something which is there in the present, and something which will continue to be there in the future. This is the definition of reality. Reality is that which persists, which is there all the time. It was there in the past, it is there in the present, it is there, it will continue to be there in the future. Now, all that we experience, all that we can know, nothing fits into the definition of reality, really. I'll come back to it, but this is the definition of reality. Now, they say, is the world real? No, the world is not real because when I go to sleep, the world temporarily disappears. If I start dreaming that I'm Roger Federer, temporarily me sitting in the Vedanta Academy is gone. This world is gone. I am in a different world. Maybe I am having breakfast with Roger Federer. So the dream world, in the dream world, the waking world disappears. In the deep sleep world, both the dream and the waking world disappears. In the waking world, the dream world disappears. So all these worlds have a relative reality, not an absolute reality. Absolute reality, which is there all the time. Relative reality is it is there for the time being. So, if this world does not fit into the definition of reality, does it mean the world is unreal? Now, unreality definition is just the opposite, that which never exists. Just completely opposite. Reality is that which is always existing. Unreality is that which never existed. Can we say the world is unreal? Hmm?
No.
Hmm. Priyanka, I appreciate your effort. You're not well and you're still trying. Very good. But don't trouble yourself. It's okay. World is not unreal because for the time being it is there. The world is existing. I am taking a class. You're listening to a class. This is part of our world. So world is existing. So if it is existing, it does not fit into the definition of unreality. Unreality means which is never existing. And the examples that are given in the scriptures is, I mean, you can make your own examples. Sky flowers, horns of a man, flying, elephant, anything, tree which gives golden apple, something like that. All this doesn't exist. So these things, sky flowers, there's no flowers in the sky. There's no horns of a man. If a man has horns, he must be a bull or whatever. So these are things which never existed. So, if the world does not fit into the definition of reality, which means it's all the time existing, if the world does not fit into the definition of unreality, the next question that is posed is the world partially real and partially unreal? Makes sense. Oh, okay. Partially real, partially unreal. But if you analyze it, just go one step forward. Partially real means, and see, partial reality, partial real and partial unreal means reality and unreality is coexisting. It's impossible. Reality and unreality cannot coexist. What we are saying is, first statement is saying, world is something which is always existing, world is something which is never existing. How can they coexist? Impossible. Something which is there all the time and something which is never there, they cannot coexist. It doesn't make sense, right? It's simple logic actually. How can something which is there all the time and something which is there never coexist? It's not there. Then what is this world? Mithya. Mithya or Maya? Mithya or Maya. World is an illusion. Now a story. There is this. Any questions so far? I am trying to go very slowly, very, very carefully. We have to
Prasad
understand.
ji,
Yes. Yes,
mithya,
Subhash.
that is also not true, or that is also unreal. No?
Which one? You can say it is
Mithya,
unreal. If you can say it as
Mithya
unreal,
meaning
but
is not real.
so if you want to be perfect, you have to say mithya is illusion. You can
Okay.
say illusion is unreal, but if you go strictly by the definition of unreality, unreality is that which never existed. Illusion is existing for you for the time being.
Okay.
When you see the snake, the snake appears to you for the time being. You can say the snake is unreal, but the definition of, if you go by the definition of unreality, something that never existed, then it fails the definition. But there are places in the book, in Swamiji's books only, that Swamiji says the world is unreal. So there he is saying it is not real. But that strictly speaking,
Okay.
unreality is that which never existed. Since the world is existing for us now, it is not unreal. And since the world does not exist for us in sleep, world is not real. Then what is the world? Mithya, illusion. Now, what is this illusion? Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, what is the goal of attending these 3, 4 classes on illusions? To understand the concept of illusions properly, to understand who is qualified to relate to this concept, and then forget about it. Don't remember it. Forget about it. Just forget about it. Okay, I studied something like a Harry Potter. So this is like it is serious, but it's entertainment. It's not to be remembered every day of your life. It is just to, I mean, I'm just saying because ideally it should be, it's like you come to the ashram and you sit sit with the master and learn this. But it's okay. So many things we are doing, we will do it for what is worth. Um, so Sage Narada was a very, very evolved person. He had the passport, he had the visa to go between heaven and earth. We are only in earth. He used to just go and come, something he used to do. And he had access to everybody, and he was always doing some mischief, always very, very naughty fellow. He was very, very doing some mischief. Once he was walking with Sri Krishna, author of Bhagavad Gita. He was walking with Sri Krishna. See, generally, if you meet somebody who is very, very knowledgeable, you can just gossip and waste your time, or if you're wise, you will ask an important question and gain some knowledge out of it because he's a wise man. So Narada thought he doesn't get the opportunity to walk with Sri Krishna all the time. And they were walking near a beautiful seashore. Everything was nice, sunset was happening. So he thought, let me take this opportunity of the beautiful evening walk to ask Sri Krishna about Maya. So Sri Krishna laughed, oh, you want to know about Maya? Hari, you should go to Basab's class on Monday. But since you're walking with me, I'll explain. And they continued walking. After a while, of course, sea is there, but it's salt water. After a while, Sri Krishna sat down and says, Narada, I can't walk anymore. Can you get me a glass of water? So, and then Narada got like, oh, wait, don't worry. Please sit here. I'll quickly go and get it. And he ran towards the village, nearby village. He ran, and the first cottage he saw, he knocked. And as soon as the cottage door opened, there was a beautiful lady, a young, beautiful lady. The lady welcomed Narada in. He sat down. The lady offered him some water and something to eat. He was eating, and the lady's father came and he said, "You look very tired, son. Why don't you have your lunch and rest? And you can go wherever and whenever you want." He was what is that called? A love at first sight. He was completely bowled over by the beauty of this lady. He accepted the the girl's father's invitation to stay, and he started continuing to stay in the house. And after a while, he could realize that the lady is also interested in him. So Narada took the courage and asked the old man, that the father, that can I have your daughter in marriage? Can I have your daughter's hand in marriage? The old man said, even if I look, I will not get a better person than you. This is the happiest day of my life. Please marry my daughter. And they got married. It was a big marriage celebration. And in due course, the father also passed away, the girl's father. And one by one, Narad had 5 children. And they were living a very, very busy life. 5 children, school and this and that. And Narada was doing something. The lady was taking care of the family. They were living a very happy life. One day, as they were all sleeping in the night, there was a lot of thunder and lightning and rain. Narada woke up and he saw that the water is entering the house. So he quickly woke up the family and says, let's go to a higher level so that we don't know how much the water will rise. And it was torrential rain. It was like a flood, and the water started rising. Two of his children got washed away in that current. He was trying to hold on the other children. Two more lost away. So now it was just one child, the wife. They were hugging on to each other. The fifth child also washed away. Finally, it was just Narada and his wife. The wife also got washed away. Somehow Narada was holding on to a tree, and he kind of survived. Slowly, after a few hours, the water receded. As the water receded, Narada was beating, God, how can you do this to me? How can you do this to me? How can you do this to me? How can you take away all of my family, all children and wife? How can you take up to me? Oh Krishna, how can you do that? Then what happened? He was complaining to Krishna, how can you do this to me? Then what happened? Anybody? Last, what happened? Krishna said from the heavens, where is my glass of water? He went to get a glass of water, no? Suddenly remembered, my God, glass of water. He said, this is Maya. You wanted to know what is Maya? This is Maya. Maya, in this way, is our fascination for the world, which is unreal. It's going to come to an end. But we get so fascinated by the world is so attractive and tempting and full of tantalizing attractions that we forget all this is temporary. See, I have this book. You don't have to buy this book, but you can also. It's a story book. Mm, where is it? One second. Don't think of all these books, huh? I just, like a library, I'm collecting. I don't know how many of them I've read. This one. Enlightening stories. Can you see it? It's on the screen, right? The Magician. Can you see it? Anyone?
Yes.
Thank you. The Magician by Swami Atulananda. They change the name so that they don't want to remember the past. They start the journey afresh, only seeking Brahman. That's why they change the name. Long ago, in the days when India was the land of the finest culture and highest achievements, when monarchs and sages mixed freely to discuss great problems of life. The higher values of life is what the sages have, and the kings were wanting to do good to the society. So they will always take advice of the sages. Now it's all I don't know what it is. The savants visited royal courts to expound their doctrines when artisans of special merit, sustained by state treasuries, peacefully created their masterpieces. So art and all was encouraged, religion was encouraged. When research work in the fields of science and psychology flourished, philosophy reached its highest pinnacle. Lavanna, the king of Uttara Pandava, met with a strange experience. Lavanna. The king was a man of extraordinary wisdom, wealth, and prowess. Saraswati, the goddess of learning, presided over his intellect. See, nice, he's using the word intellect. And Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, smiled favorably upon all his undertakings. Means he was very wise and he had a lot of prosperity. Very good combination. a rare combination. At the time of which we write, there was a peace in the kingdom and great prosperity, assisted by able ministers to look after the state affairs. Lavanna, the king, had many moments of leisure which he could indulge in his favorite pastime, contemplating the mysteries of existence. What is Maya? What is life? What is this world? Questions like this constantly agitated his brain. He was thinking about it. He was with his intellect. How was this universe created? How is it sustained? What finally becomes of it? These are the questions a seeker should have. Should wonder, how should we answer this? How was this universe created? Is there a universe created? How was the snake created? How is the snake sustained? What happens to the snake? Not the snake which has come out of the egg. I am talking about the snake which has come out of a rope. How did the snake which has come out of a rope created? How is it sustained? What finally becomes of it? Though the king studied many books and consulted the wisest scholars of the land, he could not find a satisfactory answer to such questions. Then something unexpected occurred, and to his great surprise, in a moment, his doubts were cleared. I'm hoping our doubts will get cleared. First, you remember the story of Narada. Before that, what did we cover? The three points. I'm just putting it. I'll just make a note. We covered reality, unreality, and partial reality, unreality, and finally Maya, illusions. Then we covered Narada, and then we are covering this story. It does happen. What happened? One day there came to the capital of Uttara Pandava, the kingdom, a famous magician of marvelous powers. I know a magician, P.C. Sarkar, he was from Calcutta. His fame as the greatest conjurer alive had preceded him, and when he arrived in the capital, many invitations to perform before the wealthiest and most prominent people of the town awaited him. All the Ambanis and Adanis and all the rich people, they wanted him to perform. But he answered all invitations with this one statement: I will perform only before the king. The magician was a great saint. And he knew there is only one good student. Why one good student? Because he was contemplating upon the mysteries of existence. So he just said, I will only perform my magic only before the king. All other wealthiest people out. The king soon heard about this strange magician. Why does this man want to perform only before the royal court? Thought the king. Does he think that I will reward him in some exceptional manner? See, this is how they think. Everybody think there is a motive. So he must be wanting money. In order to know more about this magician, the king sent one of his ministers to interview him. When the minister met the magician, he found him to be a very frank and simple person. The magician explained that he had come to Uttara Pandava with the sole intention of performing before the king, not to earn money. The king, he said, will be greatly benefited if he witnesses my performance, for he is a wise man, a good disciple basically. I do not perform simply to satisfy the curiosity of ignorant people. So there's no point being curious. We must have the thirst to learn to reach the higher state. And I don't need any remuneration for my efforts. When the minister informed the king of what the magician had said, the king agreed to let him perform in the royal court. The next day morning, the magician arrived at the palace. He was a tall man attired in robes of golden color. All that he had with him was a bunch of peacock feathers. The king sat on his golden throne, and his courtiers sat in the rows in front of him. With the king's permission, the magician started showing his tricks. His sleight of hand was remarkable. They do all sorts of things. They'll hide the card. They'll do this. One ball will come that way. They were very, very, very skillful he was. Stretching his arms above the head, he would pluck from the air fresh fruits and flowers, which he offered to his audience to taste and smell. Different objects materialized and disappeared at his wish. Strange music was heard in the sky. Pigeons coming from nowhere began to flutter around the throne, and when the king reached out his hands to catch one, it suddenly melted into thin air. Many other beautiful forms appeared and disappeared. These are all tricks. If you know the science behind it, it seems nothing. But if you don't know the science behind it, it seems like magic, miracle. And remember, we are studying this because we want to understand Maya. Many other beautiful forms appeared and disappeared before the very eyes of the spectators at the bidding of this strange man. King Lavanna and his courtiers were amazed to witness these wonderful feats. At some time, the magician requested, after some time, the magician requested the king's permission to perform a special trick. I am asking the permission for all of you. Can I read? I am only saying you all said yes. If you say no, you have to leave the class. You say yes. Now the magician began to mutter something under his breath, or something he said, and at the same time began to wave his peacock feathers in wide circles before the king. The graceful waving of the beautiful feathers seemed to fascinate the king. He could not take his eyes away from them, followed their very motion like one enchanted. Suddenly, the feathers disappeared. Before the throne stood a magnificent stallion, a horse, white as snow. The magician, pointing towards the stallion, asked the king to mount it. But as the king was about to get up from his throne to examine the noble steed, he suddenly lost consciousness with eyes fixed, sat in a trance, his body completely rigid. Seeing this sudden change come over the king, the ministers became alarmed, but in a few moments the king's body relaxed. He became normal again. But the horse was gone. The king only saw the magician waving his peacock feathers. So the king saw the magician waving his peacock feathers. The ministers anxiously inquired of the king as to what had come over him so suddenly. Then the king related a strange story. He said, when the magician waved his peacock feathers, I began to feel giddy. But when I heard the magician, when I heard the magician, but I heard the magician when he asked me to mount the horse that stood before the throne. I got up and mounted the horse. I galloped away, forgetful of time and circumstances. Faster and faster the horse went on till we reached a strange country. Before I realized it was evening, I found myself in a forest, galloping at a terrific speed. And then, just as I was thinking of turning back, I was caught in a creeper hanging across the road from a high tree. The horse ran on, leaving me hung in air, entwined by the creeper. I was caught in such a way that I could not free myself. Night came, I was hungry and thirsty. I called for help, but no one heard me. Thus I spent the night. At last, dawn came and the sun arose. I was in the same predicament. By now, I was ready to give half of my kingdom for some water and food. I struggled but could not get free. I resigned myself to my miserable lot, death from starvation in a foreign land. Just then I heard someone singing. It was a young woman who was coming in my direction. She carried a basket and a knife. When she saw me hanging, she cut down the creeper and I was free. Once on, once on my feet again, I noticed that the girl was of low caste and ugly looking. She had come to cut grass in the forest. I saw that she had food and as well as water in her basket. I asked her to give me food and drink, but by no means she replied. I see that you are a person of high birth, while I belong to a low caste. If you eat my food, the sin of breaking caste will fall upon me. That was whatever the misunderstood tradition in those times. But when I insisted, she said, I will give you my food if you agree to marry me. I pleaded and argued but could not change her mind. At last, I had to consent. See, if you want to save your life, you have to do anything. So he wanted some food and water. He agreed to marry her. I had to consent. It was a question of life and death. I ate the food, drank the water, but my heart was sad because she was from low caste and not pretty looking. When my hunger and thirst were appeased, the girl took me by hand and led me to a village. It was a wild place. The air was full of stench of carcasses drying in the sun. Our home was a wretched, stinking hut. There was no escape. I had given my word and we were married. For an entire week, the villagers celebrated. They drank large quantities of toddy. They feasted on the flesh of monkeys and fowls, crows and pigs. It was a dreadful affair. Imagine wedding feast is monkeys and all that, and whatever, poor quality liquor, not Scotch whiskey and all. In course of time, we had three children. Like Narada had five children. This fellow had three children. I had somehow become reconciled to my lot. I even felt some affection for my wife and children, attachment. I supported them by hunting. Then there came a long drought and sandstorms. The air was saturated with dust. The earth dried up. The village became deserted. The weak died. The strong fled away. I also fled with my wife and children. For days we traveled with scarcely any food. The children cried constantly. They were hungry. They were all exhausted. Then my wife fell ill and died. My heart sank. The children were too weak to go on. There was no food. Before the day was over, my youngest child also died. I lost courage and sank down in despair. At last, I resolved to put an end to my own life, and also that of my emaciated children. I built a huge fire and holding a child under each arm, prepared to enter it. But I stumbled and fell down and knocking my head against a stone. Then I awoke from my trance, and wonder of wonders, I found myself here, seated on my throne as before. The story was over. All eyes turned towards the stranger who had worked his miracle. He stood a little apart, gently smiling, the peacock feathers still in his hand, and he remained silent at their inquiring glances. Then the king broke the silence and said, addressing the magician, who are you, stranger? You are not an ordinary man. In a moment, you solved my doubts, giving me one great experience. Oh, wonderful is the power of the mind. Now I have realized that it is that mind that creates, sustains, and dissolves a phenomenal world. All our experiences originate from our minds. Time, space, causation are but fabrications of the mind. Now I realize what the scriptures teach is true. The words of the sages is final. You are my guru. Please stay with me in my palace forever. At this, the magician gently said, Your Majesty, he said, it was only to remove your doubts that I came to your country. You have learned a great truth. When a person attains illumination, he realizes the whole universe is actually contained within himself. It appears to be outside only because of Maya illusion. In order to understand this, let us compare our dreams with what we experience in the waking state. We know that the objects seen in the dream are unreal because they are located within the body in a confined space. It is not possible for mountains which may be seen in the dreams to exist inside a body. How much more? Okay, almost done. Dreams are activities of the mind. The mind is within the body. Therefore, scriptures declare dream experiences are illusory. But what most people fail to realize is that the same reason objects seen in the waking state are also illusory. The dream and the waking experiences are identical because both are characterized by the same condition, which is the characteristic of being perceived. The objects perceived to exist in the waking state are also unreal also because they do not exist either at the beginning or at the end. That is why they actually do not exist in the middle either. It doesn't matter. Changeability is the characteristic of all perceived. Objects change implies non-existence at the beginning or at the end. Therefore, there is only one reality, that is the unchangeable, indestructible Atman. It is totally devoid of all imaginations, free from illusions of manifold and non-dual. Beyond the mind is the Atman, your real self. By realizing it, you will be free from the turmoils of birth and death. Enjoy eternal bliss and know your majesty that thou art. At this juncture, suddenly arose from the feet of the magician a luminous vapor hiding his entire body. This gradually increased luminosity so much that the spectators had to shield their eyes from the brilliance, and then the vapor dissolved. And when the spectators looked up, the magician had vanished. Like how I will vanish from this class. So, the The magician put the king in a trance, but in a few seconds of that trance, the king imagined so much. The king imagined going on a horse, crossing a kingdom, getting caught up in a tree. Whole night he was there in the tree, hanging upside down, pleading for food and drink. Then this lady comes, cuts him, and he eats food and gets married. 7 days of wedding celebration, 3 children, and he was hunting, and he even started loving his not so beautiful wife. And then drought and sandstorms, and one by one children passed, and the wife died. And when he was about to commit a suicide, he stumbles and falls, and he wakes up in wonderment. All that happened in few seconds. You should watch Inception. Dream within a dream within a dream. Now, the point is, as long as the world is real, we must do our obligatory duties and consider the world real. The king ate, the king did whatever he had to do while he was in the trance. Why we are studying that this could be an illusion? To gain a spirit of detachment. That there is something to be suspect. Just to get the detachment. But the world is very much real for us while we are stuck in the world. All the world is a stage, all men and women are mere players. We cannot not play our role. That's why I said this is taught to people who are mature and sattvic. Sattvic means this world is a prison. I am bound by my sattva, rajas, tamas. I am bound by my body, mind, intellect. I am bound by my perceptions, emotion, thoughts. I am caught up by the walls of time, space, causation. But to get out of it, you have to be the best prisoner. Whatever role you are playing, you have to play the role properly, perfectly, with the idea to escape the prison, with the idea that there is something not right about the world. This world is like a dream world. We'll continue this next week. Next week the class should be on a Monday, not Tuesday, 29th. If 29th. Let me confirm to you. Let me confirm to you on 27th and 28th. If anybody misses it, you can request me. You can send me your email ID. I'll send you the recording. But nothing like attending a live class, because when I see people, I am excited to talk. Anyway, I'll try my best, but it's good to see the videos on. Thank you, Jyotiji. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Puneet.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Thank you, Basabji.
Think about the questions. We'll take it up in the next class. We'll have another couple of sessions of illusions. I can conceive at least 2 more sessions. We'll see how it goes. Thank you.
Hariom, thank you.
Thank you.